Hello, and welcome to the next episode of the Professionally Evil Fundamentals. I'm Kevin Johnson, and yes, we're still going through the OWASP Top 10 Web Application Vulnerabilities. In this case, we're going to talk about insecure deserialization, which is risk number 8. Before we talk about insecure deserialization, we really have to understand what serialization is, right? And a very simple definition is that it's to arrange something, right, in a series, right? Now, when we talk about computers, what we typically mean is that we're taking something and arranging it into a series that we can then undo to get back to the original thing. Very often, we're arranging it into a plain text stream that we can then use to transfer in a way that maybe the object or the binary file wouldn't survive that translation or that transmission without corruption, right? And so we serialize something. For example, if we wanted to store it into a database or we wanted to push it into memory, right, so we can move it around, we would serialize it and then push it to where we want it. And then when we go to use it again, we have to unserialize it or deserialize, right? And that deserialization is taking that string that we've generated from the original object and converting it back to the original object. Now, that's all great and good, right? And we see it quite often in object-oriented languages. Very often people think about it as a Java problem, mainly because of the very public exploitation of things like Equifax and other organizations through an insecure deserialization problem that they all had because of a platform they were running, right? But PHP and Python and other object-oriented languages can be vulnerable to this. It all depends on how the application or the code handles that deserialization. And there are a number of ways that it can do the deserialization in an insecure way. If it is the case, then what will happen is there may be command execution, there may be code that has been injected into that serialized object, and so when it deserializes it, it executes the code. It really depends on a lot of factors, very especially the way the serialization is handled, right? One of the problems with this is because very often that serialization activity was assumed to be performed in parts of the system that a user can't get to, right? Up on the app server, it's serializing and deserializing. But as we've moved to modern systems, very often that serialization and deserialization happens somewhere between the client and the server, right? So the client will receive a serialized object, it will do whatever it needs to do, and then it will send that serialized object back up to the app server. The app server will deserialize it, which is where that code or command injection will then run, right? So pretty significant problem if you're vulnerable to it, okay? So that is A8, insecure deserialization. So like I said, I'm Kevin, and I look forward to seeing you in one of our classes or talking to us online. Thank you very much. Until next time.